Hello, this is Spike. This is Garage Time Fun with Spike and his 2009 Cadillac V. Wonderful car. If you own one, getting information on YouTube is kind of hit and miss. There's a lot of stuff about CTS-Vs, or a lot of stuff about CTSs, not so much about CTS-Vs. And there's a few videos about changing the front brakes, but not much about changing the rear brakes. So, I already did this on the other side, so I know I can do it today. First thing you want to do is loosen up the cap on your master cylinder for your brake fluid. That way when you're moving pistons around back here, it won't overflow. I've got the wheels chalked so it won't roll forward, because you need to have the brake off, the parking brake off, to do this for obvious reasons. And I've got the rear end just jacked up with a floor jack, and you can find a hard point underneath there. Put the single jack and that'll lift it up just fine. Okay, so the brakes are off, and our brake pads are basically right here. We've got the spring holding them in right there. And we don't even really have to take the brake caliper off to do it in the rear. So the first thing you got to do is you got to find these pins. See, and there's the ends of them right there and right there. Incidentally, if you're not using some thick latex gloves or nitro gloves, you need to do that, because otherwise your hands get filthy and your wife yells at you. So anyway, take a punch. In a pinch, I guess you could use a really small screwdriver or an Allen wrench or something. In this case, I'm going to use a punch, and we're going to push these pieces back, these pins back out. And I'm not going to do it all the way. I'm going to do this one. They're a little hard to get started, but once they back out a little bit. Okay. Then it goes all the way through. And sometimes you can pull these out. Other times you need something like this slender screwdriver, and you can push it the rest of the way. I don't think they can see anything from that side. Okay, that's the bottom pin. And you can see that this spring has started to pop out already. We'll just pull that out. Take note of how it's positioned in there, because you don't want to try and put it in upside down. You can see the flat part with a stud that's on top, so to speak. And this one's going to come out a little easier. Okay, so that's our spring. And hopefully with your new brake pads, you've got new hardware, so you won't really have to use this stuff again. Okay. Now, before we can get these pads out, and again, it's not terribly easy to see from here, but we're going to have to get these cylinders collapsed. And actually, the easiest way to do this is with a pair of pliers. It's not as elegant as some other solution, but it works. You can just pinch the steel back of the brake pad and the back of the caliper and just squeeze slowly, and you can compress those pistons. And you'll kind of use the ear of each brake pad to do this. Okay, that should not mark things up too badly. And pads on this side, like that, just very gently squeeze, and you can see them compress the pistons. I'll go to this ear down here and do the same thing. And that really doesn't mark anything up. If you wanted to, I guess you could use a cloth or paper towel or something underneath to protect the finish of the brake calipers, but nonetheless, now these are pretty loose and they ought to be able to come out just by hand. Just wiggle them a little bit, and there you go. And you can see those are worn pretty close, especially on the back edge. I'll go ahead and fish this one out. And there we go. So that's how you get them out. Brake pads. These are the new brake pads, and you see they've got little steel tangs there, so when it wears down I'll get some squealing. I'm not so sure that the pads I took off had that. I guess they did, I just hadn't quite worn down to them, but it was close enough. Guys at the expensive garage that I go to told me that I needed to replace these. And being as they are very expensive, and being an old guy on disability, I didn't really want to spend the money on that. So I went ahead and ordered some pads. These are power stop brakes. They do a pretty good job. Hawk also makes some nice pads. These are not racing pads or anything like that. They're just should give me pretty clean, fairly clean wheels and good stopping, but they're not race pads. If you're a race guy, I don't know. But there's lots of different pads you can pick from. This is the part where I look for the, here it is. Came with some silicone lubricant. So I'm gonna see if I can get any of that to come out. Oh, there it is, there's some. Okay. This pad in first. It's going to go in like that, so I will put some on the back here. I'm just going to rub that around. So where the pistons meet the backing plate, hopefully they won't seize. Want to be careful not to use too much of this stuff though, because you got to make it last on both sides. Then I'll put a little bit on the sides here, just so that won't be scraping. Of course, you want to be careful not to get any of this on the brake pad itself. Okay, and now we've greased it up just a little bit. We'll go ahead and slide this in. Hopefully the cylinders or the pistons are retracted enough in their bore that they will let it go in, but it looks like it's still a little tight. So I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. And probably I will use this plastic trim tool to get these the last little bit inside the pistons, to get the pistons a little bit further inside the cylinders. That way I won't scratch things up too badly. See, I push one and it kind of makes the other one come out. So anyway, I think that might work. We'll give it another try. And no. No, we have to work on that a little bit more. Actually, what would be best would be if I had another one of these. And I could maybe do them both at the same time, but I'm just going to keep working on it. Because this makes for exciting video here. Try this one more time. Okay, that worked good. Now you can see it just fits in there really nicely. Okay, now I'll take the other pad, and if I can find what I did with my little grease pad, which it is. Once again, just going to spread this around. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll put a little on this edge. And a little on this edge. They don't give you very much of this stuff. One might say they don't give you enough of it. Anyway, I think that's enough to put a film there, which is probably all that I need. Okay, now before I get too far into this, I'm going to try and compress this piston a little bit more. And I would urge you to use something plastic and not something metal for obvious reasons. You don't want to score up your nice disc brakes. Okay, let's see if this will slide in here. Oh, and lo and behold, it does. How about that? Now we need to put these pins in, along with the spring. What I will call the retention spring, because that's probably what it is. Once again, you don't want to put it in this way, and you don't want to throw it on the floor. You want to put it in this way. And it doesn't really want to stay there by itself. So basically what you have to do is adjust your pads so that when you put one of these pins in from the back here, it'll go in like that. And then you can get this to go underneath it. this gets to be a little bit of finesse involved with these pins. Just kind of tap on it, and you ought to be able to feel where it starts going in. It's one of those deals, I will do this on the back of the pad because it's not visible. If you scratches and dents, not going to make a difference back there. I wouldn't do it on the front. It's enough to hold it in place, I think. So now we'll take this pin. We're going to have to flex this down like that. Get it through the other pad. And then it gets to be a little tricky as to how exactly you line this up with the holes. You basically gotta kind of feel around for it. And I think that's lined up. Now I'm gonna have to work on this a little bit, get these pins lined up here, but it's just basically just a matter of feel. And once they start in, then they start moving. Okay, so at this point, the job is basically done. I got the pins tapped in there, and that's probably the hardest part of this whole deal, is getting those pins lined up and tapped in so they come all the way through. See, I've got this, how the spring is underneath it, and how the pins go through the ears, both ears of the new pads, and that is pretty much all there is to it. Remember to screw the cap back on your master brake cylinder under the hood. Check and make sure that none of that stuff has leaked out, and if it has, you're going to need to clean it up. And aside from that, this job is all done. So thank you for joining me. Spike's Garage Fun Time. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.